What's good, people? What is up? What is They went from the fourth level of hell and sent us down to the seventh level of hell. Why? Because then you got Kwanzaa pulling out her titties. The whore pulled out her titties. And these whore bags over here started feeling and fondling on her tits. Mike.
I don't have it to do with you. Girl, you can go over there, rant and rave. Girl, you can shake all your rainbow bright hair all you want, dear one. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I don't have nothing to do with you, and I'm done. Baby, you can scream my name from the rooftops from now till Jesus come back. I'm done after this.
Introduced to Tick's Meat. Do you see what I see? Did y'all really hello, casting, wardrobe, y'all let him roll up out of wardrobe with these fans on, giving us all of this, thinking we were not going to see it? We have been waiting with bated breath and anticipating all season long for the slightest glimpse, and y'all just put it out there this episode in all of its magnificent glory.
Listen, that young man said, baby, you ate on this first date, you giving up the cooch on the first date, okay? Well, you gonna run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's how I do this song. That is the new song. Listen, somebody need to put a beat to that. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's what y'all got going on.
Called out Sandcastle. Sand, bitch. Ow. Oh my God, it was so funny, girl. Ooh, baby, listen, let me tell you something. This shit started to turn into the precursor for some gay porn. That's what I thought it was. Because Big T is getting all, the voice starting to go deeper and get a little more wet and moist and sentimental and all this shit. And it was real gay at this point. Like, I thought the bitches was gonna, I thought Lil Murder was gonna turn Big T around and do him like he did Uncle Cliff and do the grease it up with City Lou and ran right in there. It's not a coincidence that Big T started off the conversation by trying to find out if Lil Murder was fucking Mercedes, which he found out he's not. It's also not a coincidence that he would start talking about prison. Why? Because the bitches was probably fucking in prison. Girl. Uncle Clifford, you better go get your man. Big T got plans for that. Well, he had it on look like something Big Bird vomited up or something like that. Like, I did not like it. That Big Bird couture he was going for, it did not work. Like the pastor of a gay mega church on Easter Sunday. Okay, it was way too much sequins. He had way too much makeup. Baby, his face looked like Yala Van Zap's neckline. Okay, just way too much makeup, clumped here everywhere on his face. Get it together, sweetheart. Like, you're a big girl, so that gives you a whole lot of canvas. So that was a whole lot of makeup, honey. And Rico looked like he was auditioning to be one of the three kings, or he was auditioning to be the main character on Jesus Christ Superstar. Girl, Wayne, did you have on a blue thong or a blue G-string or something? If you did, I want to see it. If you up in my DMs, I do want to see if you have a blue thong or a blue Josh strap or something like that. I'd love to see it. Anyway, but I liked it with the turtleneck. Now, Troy.
Well, hello. Hey. How art thou? How is everyone today? I must admit that I really feel like I have been neglecting my politics. Many of you all came to my channel because of our, unparalleled politics coverage, and I have been neglecting it. It is an election year, and certainly there's a lot of things to talk about with regard to politics. So I need to make sure that I stay on the beaten path with regard to giving you just the incomparable and unparalleled political coverage that we have been doing for years now. So we will do that. I know, Tracy, I need to get my life in order, get it together and in order. Hello, everyone, as you all start to file in, take your seats to your usual places. You know what? I need y'all to tell me in this classroom we have, who do you sit by? You know what I'm saying? Everybody, when you get a teacher that has, open seating where they let you sit whether you want, you sit by your friends, you have your regular people who you sit by. So today, when you come in, let me know who are your fellow pupils that sit next to you in class. Now, we know somewhere over there in the corner is Harold and Xavier. We try not to put none of the new kids in class over there by them. But let me know Who is the people who you sit next to in class? Who be sitting there so I know when the trouble comes, where to look and who to look for? I need y'all to tell me. That's even for y'all people that's in the bushes, even the people in the bushes. Who desk is planted right next to yours, either on one or the other side, or in front or in back? Who you sit next to in the class? Let me take attendance. Hey Vovo, hey Cooking, hey Cams. I don't be getting a lot of you in my chats recently, and it saddens me. Seeing your handsome face gives me a good feeling. It gives me that battery I need in my back to keep going. And you have been keeping it from me. More of you is what I need in my chat, sir. Thank you, sir. Hey, Tracy C. Hey, Sharice. What's going on over there on the West Coast? Hey, Yana. How's it going up there in Kentucky? Mia MJ, how are you, my love? Catherine Powell, what's good? What's going on? What is going on? Hey, Miss Baythang, what's good? Hey, Spicy Original. Really B says, I sit by the door. Technically, Really B, your classroom is, down the hall. So you be doing your own thing in your own classroom down the hall while I got my classroom over here. But we'll let you sit next to those so you can sneak out. Child Really B is just another teacher, just want to sit in my class. It's okay. I love her. That's my colleague, my co-worker. Hey, Spicy Original. Oh, man. Uh, Yana says I sit in the balcony in the smoking section with Jason. Shout out to Jason. Where's Jason at? He probably got business going on. Tracy says me, Cams, and my name twin next to each other. Okay, I got you. Ciao. Hey, Jay Parrish. Jay Parrish said, hey, y'all, have a nice weekend on purpose. I know that's right, Jay Parrish. Ciao. Sometimes, Yana says, sometimes I sit with my good sister Tracy W. V Carter says, I'm always second row, middle of the seating of that row, able to see the board well and hear the teacher well. Thank you. That's a prized pupil over there. That's one of my good students. I need to know who y'all sit next to in this good class. Hey, Montrez, what's good as you roll up in here? Montrez, we need to know in this class full of wonderful pupils who you sit next to in class, whose desks, where you at, and whose desks are, seated on the side of yours. Who your classmate, who you chit chat with, be like, hey girl, you see what Dr. L. Teddy got on today? That bitch ain't shit. I can't stand him giving us all his work. Who you be gossiping over there with and cussing me out about? I'm just saying. Anyway, so yes, V Carter is a teacher's pet. I got a few teachers' pets. I got a couple of them in here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, mm, mm. I got a couple inboxes and some good feedback from last night. Apparently, people enjoyed the panel last night on Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. Got a couple inboxes with a couple people saying that they really enjoyed it. I'm glad people enjoyed it. It was I had a good time bringing it to you. We'll do more of the same as time permits and as things come up. So I hope you enjoyed that last night. I enjoyed having those of you that came up. I enjoyed having you up, adding to the discussion and to the conversation. Tracy says Xavier Harrell in the timeout desk on each corner, in each corner, trying to get their life together. They do. Montrez says he is on the third row in the far right, so he don't get called on that much. Child. Now that I know that, we're gonna call on you more, Montrez. Child. Yana said she was listening while she was at a soccer game and the panel was amazing. Thank you, Yana. We do the best we can over here. We do the best we can. Child. Listen, the dossier today for our politics of it all is not packed at all. I only have like 3 topics, each of which can, add a lengthy discussion, can have a lengthy discussion added to them. They all are things that are going on right now and could all affect all of us depending on how things go with them. I need to change my my drag, my name to drag Drake Mama. Oh, you know what? Not drag Drake Mama. You know what? Anyway, let me look at the dossier. Let's see where we're gonna go first. Let's start off with let's start off with the news that broke this morning, and the news that's really um stirring up a lot of commotion over in politics and over on Capitol Hill. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is at odds with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and this is backlash over the budget and spending and all of that stuff. So she said, because remember when Kevin McCarthy was voted into the speakership, his stupid ass, in an attempt to, to appease the right wing Republicans, to appease the fringe sections of the Republican Party, decided that he would allow them to put in there this rule that said with one vote, somebody can make a motion that would allow them to vote to vacate the speakership. That all it took was one person to bring up a motion, and then they could have the speakership vacated. So Marjorie Taylor Greene threatened to do that. Actually, let me let me read this to you so I can give you some context on that. Let me read this to you. Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate, filed the motion to vacate, the same procedural move that led to the ouster of former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, as the House voted to pass a sprawling spending package to stave off a partial government shutdown by Friday's midnight deadline. The chamber later passed the measure in a bipartisan fashion, but it crossed the finish line with more votes from Democrats than Republicans, angering conservatives. So let me put that in context to you. There was going to be a government shutdown to midnight tonight. Earlier this week, what happened was there was a bipartisan spending bill that would, you know, go as a stopgap to keep the government funded and, to pay the bills until the next government shutdown comes, right? Because there were things in there that the far right wing Republicans did not like. Many of them did not vote on it, but enough Democrats said, we're here for it. We're gonna y'all have compromised enough where we could do some bipartisan legislating, and the bill passed. That pissed off the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world and the far right faction, Freedom Caucus faction of the Republican arm of the United States House of Representatives. So she's mad. And let's be clear, that arm of the U.S. House of Representatives are upset anytime there's any bipartisan legislation. They don't want Republicans voting with Democrats at all. Anything or any bill, no matter how worthwhile or laudable that legislation is, they don't give a shit. What they want is they want complete power. And even if it's an idea that they came up with, if Democrats vote on it, now they're rethinking it and think, well, maybe we shouldn't have voted on that. That's how insane these people are. They have no desire for governance. They have desire for complete total domination, and that's what they want. Let me continue. Green, who has emerged as a top critic of Mike Johnson since he took the gavel in October, said she would not immediately trigger a vote on ousting the speaker. But she basically said that was a warning. She did, though, assert that she may force a referendum on his standing in the House down the road. But that all changed. Today on the steps of the Capitol, here's what she said, quote, "Today I filed a motion to vacate after Speaker Johnson has betrayed our conference and broken our rules. I respect our conference. I paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the house in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process. Take our time and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans in our Republican majority instead of standing with the Democrats." End of quote. Now, then they begin to press her. They started to ask her questions. So when pressed on when she would force a vote on his removal, she said she didn't have a timeline, but she noted that it, quote, "will be a rolling issue that we'll be judging and making decisions by," end of quote. She went on to say, "I'm not saying that it won't happen in 2 weeks or it won't happen in a month or who knows when, but I am saying the clock has started. It's time for our conference to choose a new speaker." What that basically says is this: anytime the wind blows and I'm in a bad mood, or you do something that pisses me off, I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll throw it on the floor and have your seat vacated, and have us vote this whole process again. It's a whole mess over there. Hey, green girl, it's an entire shit show and a mess. The problem is she continues to get reelected over and over and over, Yana, and she's allowed to act like a complete animal. You see, gone are the days where politicians have a certain level of decorum about them, have a certain level of uh, have a certain way that they go about trying to exude that they are, any type of notion that they are the right person for that position, that hallowed hall of justice. And you see what she has turned the freaking State of the Union into. The State of the Union has devolved into a shouting match where you have the president up there and she's shouting, he's shouting back at her. No, where's the sergeant at arms? Nobody is checking her. She's allowed to sit on the floor of Congress, unabridged, unabashed, unedited, just allowed to just do whatever she wants with reckless abandon, with no checkpoints on her. I'm just saying. Um, but so after all of this came out, Republicans you finally started to see the Republican Party push back on her. Today was one of the first instances where we saw the Republican Party begin to push back on her because they remember how long it took freaking Kevin McCarthy to get the speakership. They remember how long it took Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House, to get the speakership. And they knew, and they know right, they knew then and they know right now that they look like buffoons. They look like animals. They look like idiots. They look like incompetent, feckless, worthless pieces of shit that have no business being in any place where they are in control of what laws govern the people and the populace of these yet to be United States of America. They look just totally bereft in terms of leadership. So when she came out and did that, some of these people in the Republican Party remember how long these two processes took and said, "Yeah, we're not going back down this road." Mm. So they began to push back. I found this article, according to The Hill, this article on thehill.com about some of that pushback. It says House Republicans are lashing out at Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene over her surprise bid to remove Speaker Mike Johnson from power, warning that it threatens to divide an already warring GOP conference ahead of elections when the House is up for grabs. Green told reporters she is not bringing her motion to vacate resolution to the floor immediately, stating, quote, I don't have a timeline, end quote, but the mere idea of removing another speaker has infuriated many fellow Republicans who are aiming their fire at Green. Representative Mike Lawless of New York said, quote, it's not only idiotic, but it actually does not do anything to advance conservative movement. In fact, it undermines the country and our majority. End quote. Where was this energy, Representative Lawler, when y'all had this fuck shit with Kevin McCarthy and with Mike Johnson? Now all of a sudden, because it's a an election year and because a lot of y'all are vying for re-election, and you right now are slated to be ousted out of your seat, now all of a sudden, oh, oh no, this isn't the right time. No, we gotta think about the party. We gotta think about our conference. Y'all ain't have none of that energy. Because Mike Lawler, you were one of the people who helped to oust Kevin McCarthy. Need we forget? But now you're in a battle for your political life. You are over there in New York where they're saying that you're about to be ousted. And now you over there frolicking and fraternizing with, our the United States resident buffoon and orangutan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, isn't a good look for you. Let me keep reading. It's not only vulnerable centrists who are up in arms. Representative Clay Higgins of Louisiana, a member of the far right Freedom Caucus, is also rushing to the defense of Johnson, a fellow Louisianan, warning that Green's resolution attempts to remove the only House Republican capable of steering the GOP conference through these very dark and challenging times. Quote, I consider Marjorie Taylor Greene to be my friend. She's still my friend, but she just made a big mistake. But she just made a big mistake. To think that one of our Republican colleagues would call for his ouster right now, it's abhorrent to me, and I oppose it. End quote. And that's what Clay Higgins said about his good friend, his alleged friend Marjorie Taylor Greene. Um Now, one of the reasons that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she had a problem with the spending package was she said that it was a $1.2 trillion spending bill, and she said they gave Congress less than 72 hours to review all of the language within the bill and vote on it. Ma'am, that's what you get paid for. We don't care if you, that'd be like me as an English teacher saying, oh, I gave an essay on Monday and I'm upset that I have 150 essays to grade in 3 days. Ma'am, that's a part of the job that I signed up for when I became an English teacher. And you as a lawmaker, as a member of Congress, have to review bills. Sometimes they're lengthy, and sometimes you're not going to have a lot of time to review them. Welcome to the goddamn United States House of Representatives, you stupid piece of shit. I hate her. I just really cannot stand her. Let me see what y'all saying before I continue on this article. As someone from Louisiana, I'm embarrassed. Listen, Natalie, you better tell the people in the back. Um, Somebody needs to hire a private investigator to look into it. Even if you do find something on Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're going to find a way to look past it and say, oh, nothing to see here. You see how everything in the world that they have tried to say about Donald Trump and all of the lawsuits that he has had, all of the indictments that he has, all of the nefarious things that he has done, yet they still want him to be the president of these yet to be United States of America. So I have no faith in thinking that if you find anything on Marjorie Taylor Greene, that they're going to find any way to oust her out of Congress. I'm just being honest. No way. None at all. I'm just saying. None at all. Let me keep reading. Where am I? Trying to find my place. Oh, here we are. Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, who spearheaded the successful motion to vacate against former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, told Politico, quote, "I'm not going to question her decision. I'm just not ready to support a motion to vacate." End of quote. Representative Tim Burchett, Republican of Tennessee, who also voted to oust Kevin McCarthy, said he is, quote, currently against booting Mike Johnson, though end quote, though he echoed Green's frustration with Johnson's handling of government funding. Representative Greg Pence, Republican of Indiana, said Green's gambit is another self-imposed bruise for the GOP. He also said, "This is, quote, this isn't good for the party. When I go home, people are tuning out what's going on in the House because of the lack of progress, the chaos that's happening. And I'd like us to get together and work together. We're moving in the wrong direction of getting together." End of quote. Listen, Marjorie, Marjorie, sweetheart, she just has so many missteps. My thing is with the Republican Party, don't come out here telling us how wrong she is or how bad she is. Y'all wanted her, y'all propped her ass up, y'all put batteries in her back. Now you got her. She's being the same Marjorie Taylor Greene she's been since she's gotten in Congress. I don't know what y'all expect. That's just like when they ousted George Santos. And I'm like, wait a minute, you ousting George Santos. He's not even the worst thing y'all got going on in y'all party. That side of the house is filled with yeehaw and petticoat junction. Like, that part of Congress is literally filled with derelicts of societies, miscreants, and malcontents. That's what it's fucking filled with over there. Like, if you have a pulse and are breathing, you can be elected as a Republican member of Congress. I'm just being very brutally honest with y'all. It's not that hard over there. It's not at all. Hey, Redbird, not at all. So if you can have a Donald John Trump that can be president, hey, Lemon Kush Pepper, if you can have Donald John Trump that can be president of the United States, you can have any of the fuck thing in Congress. I mean, what the hell? There's no restrictions on what the hell you can have over there. The sad part is, um, the gates of Congress, Boebert, Gosser, um, um, Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's a whole Jim Jordan's, all kinds of stuff going on over there. Remember, Jim Jordan is the same Jim Jordan that turned a blind eye to sexual abuse happening under his watch when he was wrestling coach over at, what was that, Ohio State. That's him, and yet he's running one of the most important committees in Congress. Uh, we need a straight to hell emoji. Like, I don't even know. But here, wait, it only gets better, if you want to call it better. It's better for me, but not necessarily better for the Republican Party. So, in addition to what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene pissing off her Republican um colleagues, we got more bad news for the Republican, good news for me. So today, Republican member of the House of Representatives of the great state of Wisconsin, Mike Gallagher, announced he would resign from Congress before his term is up. Let me say that again. He announced he's resigning from Congress before his term is up. That's in addition to, what's my guy in Colorado, who's a Republican, that also just announced that he's stepping down. Mind you, they only had like 2 or 3 votes to give on the Republican side. Let me read this to you. Republican Mike Gallagher, Representative Mike Gallagher, Republican of Wisconsin, announced Friday he would resign from Congress before his term is up, shrinking the GOP's already razor thin majority in the House. Gallagher, a 4 term lawmaker who is considered a rising star within the GOP, announced last month he would not seek re election. But today, he said he would leave the House on April 19th. Quote, I've worked closely with House Republican leadership on this timeline and look forward to seeing Speaker Johnson appoint a new chair to carry out the important mission of the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. End of quote. He said in a statement. Gallagher's departure will leave House Republicans with 217 members to 213 Democrats, meaning Speaker Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 1 vote on any bill that doesn't have Democratic support. Let me say that again. That means Speaker Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 1 vote on any bill that doesn't have Democratic support. Let me say that yet again for the people in the back. Speaker Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 1 vote on any bill that doesn't have Democratic support. I just want y'all to understand what that means. I just told y'all it's a fucking clown show and shit show over there on the right wing side. You can't get them fucktards over there to agree on anything. So what you're saying to me is you have to get every single one of them to agree with you and not have, and all you can have is at the most one person say. They rarely ever have it that way on the Republican side. So now what happens if another member of Congress decides that they're going to vacate their seat prior to the election? Hakeem Jeffries potentially could be the Speaker of the House prior to the November election. If things, listen, if things go the way that that they may that they seem to be going, well, a lot of these people who they thought were going to be around for a while are saying, listen, they're chucking up the deuces and saying, bro, I ain't got this type of time, effort, or energy. I don't have it to do with you fuckers, and I'm leaving. I'm telling you, there is a possibility that Hakeem Jeffries could be the Speaker of the House prior to the election in November. It's a possibility. I'm not saying definitively it's going to happen, but it could be a possibility. hmm Let me keep reading this. His announcement came shortly after the House passed its final fiscal 2024 funding bill after months of dramatic negotiations and after Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to oust the Speaker. Gallagher, from his perch helming the House Select Committee on China, was instrumental in passing a bill earlier this month requiring TikTok's China based parent company ByteDance to sell the social media app or see it banned in the US. Earlier this year, he also made headlines for being one of 3 Republicans to vote against impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Gallagher Gallagher's is just the latest early departure of the Congress. Last week, Representative Ken Buck, Republican of Colorado, that's who I was thinking about, who had announced his retirement earlier this year, said he would leave Washington before the end of his term. Friday, today, is his last day. And Gallagher joined several other high profile committee heads who are calling it quits, reflecting the toxicity many said is evident on Capitol Hill. Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, Republican of the state of Washington, a 20-year veteran who chairs the Powerhouse Energy and Commerce Committee, has announced her intent to leave Congress at the end of this term, along with Representatives Kay Granger, Republican of Texas, who heads the Appropriations Committee, and Representative Patrick McHenry, Republican of North Carolina, the chair of the Financial Services Panel. Now, that's a lot of people. Now, those people have said that they're going to stay until the end of this term. However, who knows? Gallagher said he was going to stay to the end of his term. He's out of there. Buck said he was going to stay to the end of his term. He's vacated. Kevin McCarthy vacated back in December. Was it January? It was either January or December. Kevin McCarthy left. So these people are getting out of Dodge. Getting out of Dodge. Let me keep reading. Shortly after announcing his retirement, Gallagher voiced some of those frustrations. Quote, "Since I ran, I always said that Congress shouldn't be a career." End quote. That's what he said in an interview on America's Newsroom on Fox News. He went on to say, quote, "I think that the fact that we have so many lifers and careerists in this institution is why it's so dysfunctional, and that the framers, when they created the Constitution and this country, had in mind that you would embark on a season of service and then return to private life." End quote. Now, there's no real scare in his seat flipping. He's in an area in Wisconsin that is staunchly Republican, so they're not really worried about his seat flipping blue. But um according to Wisconsin election law, it requires a special election to fill a vacancy if it occurs before the first Tuesday in April of an election year. Because he said he's not resigning until April 19th, that happens after that point. So his vacant seat will remain vacant for the rest of the year. I'm just saying. We'll see how this goes, but that was good news I saw. That was real good news I saw. I'm not wishing they all go with God, but if they get sick and have to give up their seats, that will work too. Maybe we will get some laws passed there. One could only hope, V. Carter. Yeah, they stay congressmen too long. Let them only serve 2 terms at the most. I feel like this. Since congressmen um serve 2 years, right? I say let them get um let them get a total of 4 terms, maybe 5. Maybe I split hairs. I say the most you can get is 5 consecutive terms, which would be 10 years. You can serve 10 years in Congress, and then for senators, you can serve 2 terms as a senator, which will give you 12 years. Just like the president can't serve more than 2 terms, which is 8 years. President, 8 years. Member of the House, 10 years, and a senator, 12 years. That'd be 2 terms for a senator, 2 terms for a president, and 5 terms for a member of Congress. And then to round it out, I say that you tell members of the Supreme Court, you get 15 years. That's it. You get 15 years to sit on this good Supreme Court. Baby, if you can't get everything you need to get done in those 15 years, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just saying we need term limits at this point. We have to have some turnover because what's going on right now in Congress is not working. Hey, El said, for those people who came to class late, one of your assignments today is to put in the chat who you sit next to in class, whose desk is next to your desk in class. I just need to know who you sit next to. So when I hear some noise and commotions, I can know, who over there in the area. I'm just saying. So go ahead and stake claim on who's sitting next to you in this good class. But does that not make sense to y'all? Let's say SCOTUS 15 years, senators 12, House of Representatives 10, president 8. That's it. No more. That's it. If you can't get done what you need to get done in that amount of time, baby, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But you got the Strom Thurmans and Mitch McConnells of the world who are, skeletons sitting in Congress until they die. It's just ridiculous. It's just really ridiculous. Really ridiculous. Mm, really ridiculous. Um, as I'm pulling up the other story, our last story for today, um, I know there was some mention um, um of your former president selling Truth Social, and that possibly garnering him a few $billions. However, sir, you have until Monday. We don't know that any of that is going to happen before Monday comes, and our good girl Letitia James can begin to seize your properties. We're here for it, because and even with all of that being announced, is it going to get done before Monday comes? Nope. Which means our girl Letitia James can start to stake claims and lay hold to a lot of what you got going on over there in the great state of New York. Just start to take hold of them properties. Go ahead and take it, Letitia. Go ahead and take it. Take it now. Take it now. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Hmm. Anyway, um I want to talk about a little bit in my last story. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Gaza with the Israel Hamas war. There's I have a story that I want to briefly touch on, but that's not the crux of what I want to talk about. So the US has been for months now vetoing any resolutions that come to the UN that talk about a ceasefire, or that has any language that speaks to Israel ceasing from killing and murdering Palestinians in Gaza. The United States has vetoed every single bill. So finally, because we're inching closer and closer to election season, Joseph Robinette now believes, oh, because everybody with eyeballs has been telling him, you're going to lose this election because of your stance on Israel Hamas. Now he's finally started to come around. And let's be clear, I don't believe at all that he's genuine in his claim that he cares about the children and about the genocide over in Gaza. I think the only thing that he cares about is the fact that he could lose this election because of his stance, which is why he is just now saying, oh, well, we're going to help sponsor a resolution to the Nations supporting an immediate ceasefire and an immediate and sustained ceasefire in the Israel Hamas war in Gaza. However, the problem is the language is really, really vague. So much so, even Russia and China came right out today and said, nah, bruh, we're vetoing this. How the UN works, there are certain world superpowers where when that world superpower vetoed, they have the power, certain superpowers in the world. If they veto a resolution, it can't go. United States is one, China is one, Russia is still one for some reason that I don't know. But if those world superpowers say no, I know England is one as well, then the resolution is killed. Even if everybody else votes yes, that one superpower can 86 or veto the bill. So, and that's what the US have been doing all of this time. So, but Russia and China came out today and said, yeah, we're vetoing this mess. And their reason and rationale, they said that they're vetoing it is because the language in said bill is unusually vague. Eh, they said that it doesn't, there's no teeth in it. And this really, but the main criticism is there's not enough teeth in it, and it's not being tough enough against Israel, who everybody knows is one of the main allies of the US, who's funding Israel. A key issue was the unusual language that said that the Security Council, quote, determines the imperative of an immediate and sustained ceasefire, end quote. The phrasing was not a straightforward demand or call to halt hostilities. So, what it was saying was, well, the Security Council would determine whether or not it's imperative to have an immediate ceasefire. Not saying, no, bitch, we need a ceasefire right now. Ain't no determined, no, we need one right now. And so that, and they know that type of language, and is leaves a lot of leeway, is very vague, leaves a lot of loopholes. um they're actually saying that it's deliberately misleading the international community with that language. Now, here's what I want to, this is my concern that I really want to tap into today. Anybody here, put a 27 in the chat if you can give me the name of the United States ambassador to the UN. I want you to, if it, not you Cams, because I know Cams would know. Hey, lovely 31 blueprint. Not you Cams, because I know Cams would know. Put a 27 in the chat along with the person's name if you can tell me the name of the the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. See what we got going on. Nikki Haley was the UN under Donald Trump. She was the UN ambassador, the US ambassador to the UN. She was under Donald Trump. She's not it now. Uh, because I know you know Cams. God, that's why Cams. I know you know. Jay, her first name is Linda. It is a black woman. It is a black woman. Her name is Linda Thomas Greenfield. Now, Linda Thomas Greenfield is a celebrated um uh black woman in politics in Washington, D.C. Very storied career, going all the way back in DC, going all the way back to George W. Bush. Um, um, she's very heralded career, as well as her husband. My issue is I have there's this cognitive dissonance I have, because you have Linda Thomas Greenfield, whose job it is to stand up there every day at that lectern at the UN, or when she's in front of the press, in front of those microphones, and say exactly what the president and the White House instructs her to say. The cognitive dissonance that I have is I feel It's conflicting when you see this black woman up there that you know. I shouldn't say I know, but I feel in my heart of hearts that it doesn't conflict you that you are over there willfully giving credence and backing to what is a genocide of an entire group of people. It's the same thing I feel when General Lloyd Austin gets up there and makes these bold statements. We will always support Israel. We will never not give them ammunition. We will never not give them money. We will never not be like gives these superlative and concrete answers and statements. And I'm looking at two storied black people, both Lloyd Austin and Linda Thomas Greenfield, who have decades and decades of service to this country. And it just gives me pause because as black people and as black Americans, we can look over there at what's going on in Gaza and know how wrong we of this country is, know how awful what's going on over there is. We can see the colonizing that's going on over there. We can see the apartheid that's going on over there. We can see the genocide that's going over there. And I just know that I just feel like as black Americans, you get conflicted because your heart and your mind says that shit is wrong over there. But your duties and your job says, I gotta say this. And I watch sometimes, Linda Thomas Greenfield over at the UN, and she is full throated saying when she vetoes, because over and over, this has been going on since October, over and over and over, country after country after country has put up these resolutions saying we need a ceasefire. You've had experts from the UN Security Council, experts from Doctors Without Borders, experts from all over the world that have come to the UN and said, y'all got to stop this. Y'all got to do something about this. Y'all need to stop funding this genocide over here. And you got Linda Thomas Greenfield that has to stand there flat-footed and give full-throated support for, yeah, we're going to veto that. Yeah, we're still going to give full support to Israel. They have a right to defend themselves, and we will support them wholeheartedly in their right to defend themselves. Hey, Peaches04, what's going on, girl? I mean, I don't know. Cams, what's your thought on this? Because this is how I know Cams keeps up. Cams keeps up on this stuff. But I just feel conflicted. If you've ever seen Linda Thomas Greenfield, you can Google her. She looks like she could be someone's grandmother. She easily now don't get it twisted. I hate when people put that moniker, oh, that looks like someone's grandmother, as if to, because when you add that to it, it gives this layer of, oh, they mean well, they may not be as well informed or as intelligent. So it kind of, I feel like by me saying that, it kind of diminishes her intelligence. But let's be clear, the woman as intelligent and as intellectual as it gets. I told you the woman has a storied career in politics. Storied career. I mean, if I remember correctly, um her first time working for the feds in a top level position was back in George W. Bush, back in the early 2000s. I'm just saying, U.S. wants to be a world leader boss, but it seems tied to Israel, regardless of their. It's. I just feel like I'll I'll give you a perfect. Now y'all gonna say that's the wrong person to bring up, L Teddy, and I'm going to say no, it's the right person to bring up because think about Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice back when we were sold on the weapons of mass destruction and the axis of evil and all of that stuff, and how um Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell had to give full throated support. Remember, Colin Powell came back after he left the Bush administration and said, "Yeah, we were wrong. We got it wrong." Now, Condoleezza hasn't full throatedly said we were wrong, but if you look at interviews that she's had since then, she has kind of walked it back a little, but it gives me that it it rings back to them because history is not as kind to Condoleezza Rice. It's much kinder to Colin Powell, but remember, Colin Powell, one is a man, two, hey Danny, one, Colin Powell is a man, two, Colin Powell is a military man. That adds a lot of dynamics to it. We already know, you know, male, female, they're always going to be, the structure of our country, uh, they're always going to be kinder to the man than they are to the female when the history is told. But you add to that the fact that Colin Powell was a storied soldier and had decades and decades um of work and history with the United States military. So he was going to be looked favorably upon because of his history as a soldier and as a leader within the United States military. And I'm going to say the same thing is going to happen when the story is told about when we look at Lloyd Austin and Linda Taylor Greenfield. We're going to look the same way. Linda Thomas, I said Taylor, Jesus, I'm thinking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Linda Thomas Greenfield. I think the story, when the story is told, because we're on the wrong side of history yet again, just like George W. Bush was on the wrong side of history with the axis of evil and the weapons of mass destruction. We're on the wrong side of history. Joseph Robinette is absolutely on the wrong side of history with Israel Hamas war. And now you have these, once again, these two black figures, one male and one female, who have to be the voice of supporting the wrong side of history. So when history is told, I could see the same thing happening. Lloyd Austin, celebrated and heralded career in the United States military, will be seen as a soldier doing his job. Whereas I don't see history being so kind to Linda Thomas Greenfield. One, because she is a woman, just like Condoleezza Rice, and two, I don't know if she was or was not ever in the military. I don't remember seeing anywhere that she was ever in the military. But even if she was, she doesn't have the storied career in the military that Lloyd Austin was. Similar to Condoleezza Rice, doesn't have the military backing that Colin Powell had. And so I could see Linda Thomas Greenfield, when the story is told and her history, her legacy is written, I could see her coming out on the wrong side of history with this, just like Condoleezza Rice. And people vilified Condoleezza Rice at the time, but let's be clear. You go back and you look at the history. I heard a lot of people say some very nefarious things about Condoleezza Rice, saying that she wasn't pro-black and she wasn't black enough and all that. Mind you, Condoleezza Rice was involved in the bombing, in the Birmingham church bombing, where the four little girls were killed in the bombing. She was there. She was involved. you, that's how far back she goes. And so she was vilified for her doing her job, and didn't get the luxury of having it not look as bad for her as it did for Colin Powell. And like I said, I could see the same thing for Linda Thomas Greenfield, because because just like Condoleezza Rice, before all of that happened, had a storied and celebrated career. She was one of the she was a paramount and mind in terms of international law and U.S. international relations with regard to Russia, with regard to Eastern Europe, and all of that. Great mind, storied intellect and career in that. And it just gets thrown out with the bathwater because she had to be the voice when we were on the wrong side of history. And I could see that happening again for Linda Thomas Greenfield. And I hate that would have to happen to this this wonderful black woman, wonderful, quite phenomenal black queen, Linda Thomas Greenfield. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I hate that that it has to, excuse me, I hate that it has to be that way, but I could truly see that happening. Um I'm just I could see that really, really, really happening. I don't know. I will say, whenever I've often seen pictures of Linda Thomas Greenfield and her husband is Lafayette Greenfield. And if you look at them, her husband looks dramatically younger than her. Like he looks like he's her son and not her husband. Every time I see them, I think of Daddy Bush, George W. Bush, and his wife. Um, Shoot, what was that woman's name? Barbara Bush. Barbara Bush. Remember George H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush? She looked like his grandmother instead of his wife. That's how Linda Thomas Greenfield and her husband, Lafayette Greenfield, look, because she looks much older than him for some reason. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I doubt either of those two can get a good night's sleep with all the nonsense the U.S. stays in. I mean, it's got to be hard having to stand up there, and I wonder if they ever give any pushback. I don't know how much pushback Linda Thomas Greenfield can get because she's the the U.S. ambassador to the UN, so she just has orders to go and say what they tell her to say. Lloyd Austin is in the 7 o'clock meeting. And what I mean by the 7 o'clock meeting, there's a 7 o'clock meeting and the 8 o'clock meeting. 7 o'clock meeting is all the big dogs. Lloyd Austin is in on the big dog meeting. Okay. So Lloyd Austin can actually give some pushback to Joseph Robinette and say, yeah, this is not the way to go. And I just don't know that he is. I just don't know that he is. Mm. Anyway, that's what we got today. So I told you I didn't have a lot for our politics of it all. We've been on here an hour. I said I was going to do 45 minutes. I need to go and start my preparations for Silly Saturday. So I'm going to try to get some of that preparation out of the way today and then finish it up tomorrow morning. Y'all know that takes a long time. Anyway, y'all, so look for Silly Saturday at its regular time, noon tomorrow for Silly Saturday. Let me see what y'all said in this chat before we get out of here. I am a TA and I am sitting next to the rest of the faculty. Oh, okay. Listen. Daddy says she ain't one of the students. She's a TA. So she sits with the rest of the faculty. She'll have to be over there with the students. She'll have to tell y'all where she sit at. She's a TA. Don't question her. I know that's right. Please let them know. Let them know. Um, I would argue the allegiance is through Zionism, in my opinion. Interesting. This is allegiance. This allegiance to Israel is it oil or army size or debt? The U.S. owes it. Yes, the Zionism. I mean, it goes back to the whole reason why they took that country, that area from Palestine, and um, and gave it to Europe. You know, white guilt. Hey, boo. Hey, Tanya. Tanya, you got to tell the people where you sit, who's sitting next to you in class. Now, I want to hall monitors. Do all the hall monitors sit together, or do y'all disperse yourself in class so as to monitor every class? I just want to know hall monitors. Do y'all all sit over by each other, or do y'all like sit in different areas so y'all could just monitor everything? I just want to know where the hall monitors are, so when I tell them to go take care of somebody, whether or not they take care of somebody. Cha. Yeah. Sitting next to really be by the door. Yeah, but no, I'm glad to do a. I was it feels good to get back to our politics stuff. And I'm way overdue to do some politics, so we'll be monitoring politics. And before I get out of here, one of the things that we are going to monitor is I have a good feeling that the House could flip this time. My concern is the Senate. We know West Virginia. Y'all can go ahead and flip that to blue. Joe Manchin, who's a, I mean, flip that to red. Joe Manchin, who is, you know, allegedly a Dem, but he was barely hanging on to that seat by the hair of his chinny chin chins. Even if he was going to run again, run for reelection, it was slim chance for him to keep that seat. So I know that West Virginia seat um will flip red. John Tester out in, I think that's Montana. His seat is up for grabs, and that's a red state, and he's um a blue senator in a red state, and there's a possibility that seat could flip. Um Sherrod Brown, even though to me I read it Sherrod Brown, he says Sherrod Brown up there in Ohio. His seat is up for grabs. There's quite a few seats. Who is that? Is in Wisconsin? Is that Tammy Ducksworth? Duckworth? That's her seat is a coin flip. So there's quite a few seats that could change. We'll see. So I'm going to be paying real good attention to some of these Senate races across the country. Um anyway, Danny's sitting next to really. Oh, I've read that. Anyway, we about to get out of here. As I always say, I love y'all. I love on y'all. Thank you all. Did you hear that Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to get the House Speaker out because he voted to keep the government open? Katrina, Katrina, we spent the whole first 40 minutes of the show talking about breaking that down and talking about that. We spent about a good 30 to 40 minutes breaking that down and talking about that, Katrina. So just red ball back. Thank you for asking though. Red ball back because we did spend quite a few time talking about that. We did break that down. We did. But I'm glad you are staying informed and asking the right questions. Anyway, as I always say, I love y'all. I love on y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make. Just that you make to the channel. They are much obliged and much appreciated. No, I figured as much, Katrina. I figured as much. I said, yeah, she must be just got in. Yeah, Katrina, we did break that down. We talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene. We talked about the fact that she done upset members of her Republican caucus, and they're not happy with her either. And the fact that the Republicans are holding on to the majority by the hairs of their chinny chin chin, by the slim hairs of their chinny chin chin. Listen, you heard it here first. There's a possibility Hakeem Jeffries, a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, may become the first black speaker of the House of these yet to be United States of America. So you heard it here first. He may become that before the November election. Anyway, y'all, we will be back in the seat tomorrow. We will be back in the saddle tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow we will have Silly Saturday. I am not out of town. I am home. We will be having Silly Saturday. We will be here at 12 noon. Have your face in the place. Okay. Be in the seats at 11:55. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. I'm out.